And what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Stevo Supremo here, and today we are talking about my game of the year for 2022. I know it's probably a month too long, but hey, we're getting to it now. We're gonna run through the games that I've beaten here, and I've already tried doing this video once, and it's taken like an hour to do this thing. So originally, I wanted to talk a little bit about each game, but that takes way too long, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. You're just here to see what games I've completed, what I enjoyed, and then what my game of the year is. So we're gonna run through them. We have some 2022 games in here that we'll pick our 2022 game of the year, and then out of all the older games, we will pick what our favorite one of that was too. So as you can see at the top here, I completed 35 games. So let's run through the 35 real quick that I beat, and then we'll go back and I'll tell you what were my favorites. All right, so Monster Hunter Rise PC version, because that came out in January, so that can qualify for 2022 if I wanted to. But Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, Judge Dredd: Dread versus Death, The Ascent, Unpacking, Elden Ring, Castlevania: Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate. That might be Mirrors of Fate. Kirby and the Forgotten World, 007: Everything or Nothing, Lost Kingdoms, NBA Street, Trek to Yomi, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Diablo Immortal, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Resident Evil Dead Aim, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Amnesia Rebirth, Cosmo Dread, Little Nightmares, Alien Infestation, Vampire Survivors, Vindy and the Ink Machine, Alien Isolation, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, Victorious Boxers Revolution, Pokemon Scarlet, Hello Neighbor 2, Modern Warfare 2, High on Life, World of Warcraft Dragonflight. Now, that should be 35 games unless I miscounted. You guys can correct me. But yeah, those are all the games we beat this year, and you might be able to see a theme in certain sections of this. Like especially right here, the 007, Lost Kingdoms, NBA Street. When I stream, I have a goal with my stream. Of course, I'll play whatever I want when I stream, just because I'm a multi-genre streamer. But one of my main goals is to complete every GameCube game. So at least every NA GameCube game. And those are the first three we've completed so far, and we're just going to keep going from there. And then you'll notice later on down a lot of horror themed games. That's because this past October, we did like my first kind of horror month stream where I streamed a bunch of horror style games. And it started with Amnesia Rebirth, and we beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of 8 kind of horror ish, like October vibe games. One of the best months of gaming I've ever had, like as far as completing games. And these were all like really great games. So I think the 2022 releases here, let's see how many we got. Monster Hunter Rise was technically came out in 2022, this PC version. Elden Ring, of course. Kirby and the Forgotten World, that's 3. Trek to Yomi is 4. Tiny Tina, 5. Diablo Immortal, 6. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is 7. Xenoblade 3, 8. Vampire Survivors is 9. Pokemon Scarlet 10. Modern Warfare 2 11. High on Life is 12. And Wild Dragonflight 13. So 13 2022 games that I played. What is my favorite out of the 2022 entries? Well, I'll tell you. World of Warcraft Dragonflight here. This is one that I think this came out back in, was it November when it came out? October 28th, something like that. I didn't pick it up till December. And I love World of Warcraft ever since I started playing back in the Wrath of the Lich King days. I had been hooked from there, and each expansion, I would always kind of buy the expansion, level up, try to get into the very first raid that releases, and then by that time I'm normally done with it. And it's happened through every expansion since launch. There have been some I haven't even bought, like Warlords of Draenor. Never bought that one on release. And I want to say Mists of Pandaria at launch. I did not get it. And I kept hearing good things about Dragonflight. And I was like, you know what? Shadowlands was horrible. I got to the max level and didn't even want to play it anymore. Played Dragonflight and fell in love with World of Warcraft all over again. They just make it so accessible now for when you hit that max level. It's no longer, no one's gonna let me come to the raid and I want to do this to get gear. Like you, there's so many ways for people to enjoy the game now, to get gear and level up and feel like you're doing something in the end game and not just stagnant. And man, I just love that. It took over my life for like the month of October. Like I leveled up like 3 characters. I've completed the first raid. We're working on heroic final boss right now of the main raid. We're just on the last final fight, and we'll probably get it this week. And it's just been the most rewarding experience so far in a long time. In a long time, playing through World of Warcraft. So had a blast with that. Just wanted to talk about that. I'll talk about High on Life too. This is a game that, again, on Game Pass, that it was just hit and miss for me. A lot of people, I don't, this humor probably hits for some people. It just does not hit for me at all. It felt like I was playing a game where a 14-year-old had learned how to curse for the first time, and that's all they want to do because they think it's cool. And it just was not hitting for me at all. And I think it's by the guy who does Rick and Morty. I think that's a very popular show. I don't watch it based on the humor of the game. I probably wouldn't like the show, but I would see people recommending this, saying how funny it was. I'm like, this game was not funny at all. But the gameplay was really good in it for me. So this is a game where I really enjoyed the gameplay, but man, and there is a setting in the game where you can turn the banter down. I had to because it was just driving me nuts. I just did not like it. But the gameplay with the first person shooter and unlocking these cool weapons and kind of leveling up and modifying them was really neat. I like that part of the game. So High on Life was a cool game to play. Just the story, ugh. Let's see. Then Pokemon is Pokemon. Oh, Pokemon had a lot of heat. People saying so many bugs and stuff in it. I didn't run into any of that stuff. There is some frame rate issues, but man, I've enjoyed hunting down shinies, building up parties to play online. I've really enjoyed this entry, Pokemon Scarlet. And let's see, what else was 20? Vampire Survivors. Oh my, what a game. I didn't hop onto it at the beginning of the year. I think I was seeing like these big streamers, everyone's playing this game. I wiped it off. I finally played it in October though, and what a game. This Castlevania theme, just sitting there leveling up this character from level 1 to as high you can get it within 30 minutes and unlocking all these abilities and moves and power-ups and leveling them up. It was just so addictive. Me and my son played so much of this. Let's actually spell it right. Played so much of Vampire Survivors. Like it was just a great time. And what makes it even cooler is that they keep continuously updating the game and putting more stuff in it. And it's just awesome. So many characters you can unlock and play through. I don't even know if I spelled survivors correct here. Who cares? Awesome game though. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't even know if I did a video on this, but man, I love that game. The combat, the story in it. It's tough to pick what order I'd put my favorite Xenoblades in, but this, loved it. What can I say? I loved it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, awesome beat 'em up style game. Just a flashback to the good old days, tugging on the nostalgia strings for me. Loved it. Diablo Immortal, disappointing. Tiny Tina's, more of the same. Borderlands. Trek to Yomi, really cool action based old school samurai game that kind of caught me by surprise and was really happy I played through it because a really cool story, really fun combat. Kirby and the Forgotten World. Love this game just for the fact that I played through with my youngest daughter and we had a blast. She was only 4 years old at the time, folks, and we played through that whole game together, and I enjoyed every moment of it. And of course, we won't count Monster Hunter, but the big dog, Elden Ring. We'll kill the suspense. Elden Ring is my personal game of the year. Like many others, it just checked all the boxes for me. You know, I'm a Souls fan. I love everything with the From Software series, with all the Souls games. Just love them to death. And this was just like a culmination of everything. Open world, where the boss fights were just incredibly epic. All the gear and different builds you can build to play through this game. I just love it. And then watching the speed runs of it is really cool. I can't wait for more DLC and stuff for this game to dive into it again. I've already done like 3 different character builds for it, and there's so many more you can do. But of course, I like to play through multiple games. So I did put it down to continue moving on and playing through other games, but I can't wait to go back and play it again. So there you go. Elden Ring is my 2022 game of the year. Should have come as no surprise. And if I was going to follow up with a second or third, I'd probably do Xenoblade Chronicles 3 as number 2, and Vampire Survivors would be number 3 for my game of the year. That game is just incredible, especially for the value. I think you can get it on your phone now. That's insane. Now, the even tougher task is picking what out of all the older games is the best game that I played. And I'll tell you, Xenoblade Chronicles X, incredible. Alien Isolation, finally getting to play through that. Awesome. I don't know if you guys noticed here, these Super Mario games, beating them all in the past, but did a little Mario weekend marathon with me and my son. We were both playing through as many Mario games as we could through the weekend on a live stream. And these are the 3 I helped him beating. And he beat a couple others like Super Mario 2 and Super Mario 64. I think he did a playthrough of that one on there. I can't remember. But yeah, just loved that little time with my son doing that little marathon. But if I was going to pick an older game that we played and beat this year, it's right here, baby. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And you guys are probably wondering what took so long to play through that game. Well, one thing, it's really expensive to get a copy of for the PlayStation 1. There are ways to get it. I have the oh man, the Castlevania PSP game where you can actually unlock it after you beat it, but I've never gone to completing that game, the PSP version. I forget what Castlevania game that is. But there is a game, very cheap way you could have got it in October, and that was through buying the Castlevania like Rebirth collection on PlayStation Network, and that's what I did. So I have this on PlayStation now, and yeah, I can play it anytime I want on my PlayStation. Downloaded it, and Symphony of the Night, boom, right there. And I also have on my Xbox the Xbox Live Arcade version, but decided to go ahead and play through this one, and it's Castlevania perfection. Like, I loved it. I love the Game Boy Advance entries. I love the DS entries, and finally going through and playing with kind of what started this whole kind of RPG element system to Castlevania, and getting the weapons and stuff like that. Symphony of the Night, it's incredible. I always thought that going through and playing through the castle a second time upside down, that was a part that bothered me and seemed daunting when I was thinking about it. But when you play through the game, it's not at all. Like, since you've already played through the castle once, and even though it flips, you kind of know how everything's laid out already, and you kind of go through it really fast. And by that time, you're kind of strong, so you're zipping and moving everywhere. The game's movement and controls are just incredible. So, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, incredible. 10 out of 10 game. It's definitely my old school game of the year. I can't even put it head to head with Elden Ring. Like, They are both 10 out of 10 games for me. They are right there with each other. So, Elden Ring and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, my new school and old school game of the year for 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what your games of the year were, whether you did the same thing as me, old and new. Let me know. Put in the comments below. I'll see y'all in the next one.